Hi guys, Arthur here from Homeowner DIY. In this video, I'm going to be installing a bathtub on a concrete slab. Now, this is the second tub video that I have on the channel. Guys, check out the description for the first tub video. The great thing about this video is that the piping is going to be visible, so it'll be a lot more informative for those of you that have not done this before. So with that in mind, what we'll do now is material and tools. Alright guys, this is the material list minus the tub because that's on site. So because I don't know what I need to offset the current drain, I have two 22s in the back, two 45s, coupling if I need it. A T that comes with the overflow. So this is an OSMB overflow. This is the overflow portion, cover. The 90 with a click pop-up. 1.5" ABS pipe, clear silicone, number 8 by 1 inch screws, ABS glue, number 8 by 1.5" deck screws in case I need them, and then a bag of concrete to put under the tub and also fill the hole where the drain will be offset through the concrete. Alright, so this is our tub. This is our brand here. Acrotech. So this is the left hand, which means the drain, you can see right there, the drain is on the left side. So guys, for left and right, you're going by the drain side. So when you look at it, if the drain's on the left, it's a left hand tub. If the drain is on the right, it's a right hand tub. So this one has a clear plastic, but it also has another clear plastic that you can't see from here, but I'll show it to you when we get there. So guys, this is the materials list for this job. So what we'll do now is the tools list. Alright guys, this is the tools list for this job. So I have a bucket for concrete, bucket for water, shovel, hacksaw, 4-foot level, flashlight, tub key, internal pipe cutter. My cordless kit, I will need the impact and the cordless drill, extension cord for safety equipment, respirator, safety glasses, earplugs, my pouch, so hand tools, measuring tape, knife, pencil, hammer, silicone gun, on the far right a LED work light. So guys, this is the tools that I have here. What we'll do now is look at the jackhammer that is going to be rented. Alright guys, so this is the remainder of the tools list. This is an electric jackhammer. It's a Hilti TE 500-AVR. This is a rental. You're not going to buy one of these things as a DIYer. The bottom bit is what I'm going to use for this job. You can get an array of bits, but for concrete, a spike bit like this is probably what you're going to use. Guys, this is the remainder of the tool portion for this job. So let's install this tub. So it's easier to start chipping up now before doing anything else on this job. So when you chip up the concrete, make sure that you're chipping away from the pipes. Stuff something down the pipe so you don't have any debris going down it. And all I'm trying to do is go through the concrete. So the concrete here should be about 4 inches thick, and I just want to go all the way through so I have enough space to offset the pipe for the new tub. So I also wrote the center on the concrete slab of where the new drain is going to be. So take the measurement and mark it out now. So if you have a tub that is significantly different in size, at least you'll have an idea of where the new and old drain are going to be, so then you can offset accordingly. There's no point in chipping in an area if it's not necessary. Guys, check out the card for the quick tip of the week on electric jackhammers. I go into depth about how I use the tool, the techniques, what you need to know so you don't run into any problems. That is beyond the scope of this video. Alright, so we're going to see how low our drain is. 16 inches. And then we have 3 inches of water sealing. You can see the muck on the right over here. This here, look. Anyways, guys, with the trap being something like 13 inches down, I don't need to move the trap itself, so I'm just going to offset on the vertical. But now with this chipped out, I'm going to take an internal pipe cutter and cut the T off so it's a little bit lower. We'll see how low I have to go, but the closer the drain for the tub that lines up with the vertical piece of pipe, the less of an offset will be needed. Put a piece of plastic down so I don't lose anything. I should have probably done this when I was chipping up, but it's too late. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut around and just remove this T. Alright, so we're going to put on our overflow piece. So for this one has a gasket with, I'm assuming, an adhesive side. So the adhesive side will go to the ABS. Okay, so when you put your overflow on, you want to make sure it's pointed towards the drain and not off to an angle. Alright, so this is what I mean, that you want it pointed right down here. All you're going to do is eye this out. But that looks fine right there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the other end and then tighten on the white piece threaded onto the black piece on the back side here. Alright, so this is the other end. So hold it in place, make sure that the rubber ring is centered, everything is centered. So make sure that you realign it so it's done properly. Now, some people like to put a bead of silicone here. I'm not going to. You're very rarely going to see water hitting this, so I don't think it's necessary. You can if you want, I'm not going to. Okay, so this is the other end. So you're going to unthread the pop-up portion, and then the tub key is going to go into this. So I threaded this on just to hold everything together. Okay, so the 90, you want it pointed up towards the overflow. Now with this style, you only have an indirect drain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to silicone this bottom part. I'm going to stick it into from the inside. Hold this in place, and then tighten this up as much as I can. So guys, I took another look at this. There is no actual other plastic for this. A lot of these tubs will have a plastic that goes on the inside. All I did was I took a knife on the very corner and see if I could pull up some of the plastic. That plastic there is what was here. That's why I thought there was another layer, but always be sure if there's plastic you need to pull it off, otherwise I guarantee you will have a leak. Okay, so this is called a tub key. Generally I would be using this side, but it looks like I need to use this side. These other two, I don't think I've ever used them. So for the drain here, it's going to go in like this, and then you're going to twist the thing on. If you want more leverage, you can also put a big flathead screwdriver here and use that to twist. So this will be siliconed. It'll be put in here. The 90 will go onto the back side, and then I'm going to thread the 90 as much as I can go, and then tighten this with the tub key. Okay, so with our clear silicone, go all the way around, put a nice bead. Okay, so we'll put the drain in. Now remember, you want to see a ring of silicone squeeze out all the way around. Okay, so with the drain in, hold a 90 in place, and then spin the drain on. Alright, so make sure it's centered all the way around. Now I've already wiped this, but wipe off the silicone and then take either a rag or a piece of paper towel, wipe all the way around. Now what I am going to do, again this is optional, I am going to silicone the backside because I'm not really familiar with OSMB. I generally use a different brand of waste and overflow, but for those of you that want an extra piece of mine, an extra layer of protection, I'm going to silicone the bottom. For the drain, just eye it out with the overflow. If it spins a little bit, you can always just tap it back into position. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to silicone around the red ring. Alright, so this tub has feet here, here, and here. I'm not going to use the feet. I'm going to put concrete here and down there. That is the way I learned to do this, is to put concrete underneath, and that's going to keep this nice and solid. Remember, over the years with wear and tear, this is going to flex, and if you remove the flex, the tub is going to last a lot longer. Alright guys, so some things I've learned here. First of all, the bottom portion, make sure all the drywall screws or nails, whatever, are removed. If you try to put the tub in and it catches on a nail or a screw, you're going to tear a piece of the acrylic off, and yes, I've done this before. Next thing, the diverter's on this side, so you're always going to go tight to this side. You're never going to go tight to the opposite side because that's going to throw out your depth for your diverter. But with this roughly put in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a level and then roughly level it. Okay, so the front is fairly level, the back is slightly low, and then we're going to check this side here. Here the back is slightly high. Now I don't know if it's one of the feet is the problem or what is happening here, and then I'll quickly check the other side. And the other side is fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly check to see if the feet are touching and figure out why the back left corner over here seems to be slightly higher than everything else on the tub. So the feet can be unscrewed so it contacts the ground. Now I'm going to put concrete underneath. That's the way I learned. I think concrete is better because it's going to remove the flex from the plywood over time. Now the one other great thing about this install opposed to the other tub that I have on the channel is you're going to actually be able to see the piping this time around because it's not boarded up with drywall like it was previously. Alright guys, so the tub is now level all the way around. So I've put a mark along the stud so I know where it needs to be. Take your time and make sure that it's level all the way around. This will make or break the job. You're going to see the unlevelness in the tile and it'll just look terrible. But with this all ready to go now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up my concrete. I'm going to throw a dab there, a pile, and then once I am ready to set the tub, we'll come back when everything's ready to go. Alright guys, so this is the 2 mounds of concrete that I poured. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a garbage bag over it, so in case this thing needs to ever be removed, the concrete is not going to stick to the tub. But with that in mind, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the tub ready to go, and I'm going to show you my method for setting the tub. Okay, so the first thing, make sure the back end is slightly higher than the front end. So I'm going to take my level. It's about a quarter bubble over. And it's the same thing, quarter bubble over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap using my heel on the inside of the tub, and I'm essentially going to drag the bottom of the tub out instead of pushing, at least right off the bat. So what I do is I will tap the bottom of the tub outward, and the high side, which is the back, will start to fall down gently. Once you start to have some resistance, you can tap downward with your foot, and sometimes you're going to have to move the tub back and forth like a shuffling action because the concrete is keeping the tub up. This will take a little bit of patience to do, but you have a lot of time to work
because this is general purpose concrete and it'll take at least an hour for it to start to stiffen up to the point where it's going to be tough to work with.
Okay, so instead of drilling a pilot hole, what I'm going to do is I'm going to screw this screw in reverse. Alright, so now it's started. We see our mark. So we'll put our level on. It's in line with the mark. Alright, so we're good right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the corner over there.
Alright, so a couple things here. First of all, the marks on the studs are just a guide for roughly level. You're going to go by what the level says, not what the marks tell you. You're going to recorrect using the level. Now, when you're screwing in the screws, be sure that you are not flexing the acrylic too much because you can crack the acrylic. And yes, I've done this before after installing thousands of tubs and showers in my time. So before screwing the long end, the back end, take a level and make sure that everything is still roughly where it needs to be. You can still adjust it minutely if you need to. So I've dry fitted the T on to see what it looks like. The drains line up fairly close. If they don't, you're gonna have to offset on the horizontal portion. Make sure that the T is lower by looking at it from the side, that you're going to have grade. And also keep in mind that the tuck tape that is on the pipe coming up through the ground, make sure you scrape that away so when you glue, you're actually gluing the ABS material itself and not the tuck tape that is on the pipe. So look at the T and the overflow and make sure that they roughly line up. I will have to offset this one, but one thing to keep in mind with this, because it's a Reno, there's already water in the trap. So for the very bottom joint, you can't give it a whole lot of glue because it can run down the pipe and it'll sit on the water seal in the trap. I've seen this happen where there's an 1/8 inch layer of ABS glue, and because of that layer of glue, the entire drain was blocked. And this was a basement shower that eventually had to be chipped out and the trap had to be removed and reinstalled with a new one because of the glue that was blocking the drain. I've only ever seen it happen once, but once is enough to be worth noting. So I'll start by dry fitting the T on and then taking a measurement between the 90 where the drain is and the T and cutting this piece of pipe and gluing it into the T. So the first time I glued this in, I didn't realize that the pipe coming out of the ground was too low, so I'm gluing in a coupling to raise the T up to make sure everything is aligned and won't be stressed. So now the grade needs to be set between the T and the 90. So I'll dry fit it in place and then look at it from the side and just look at it visually and see that it has grade and everything roughly lines up. So I'm going to take a measurement and then cut and glue in the bottom piece between the T and the coupling and get this ready to go. Once the piece is glued into the bottom of the T, the two pieces of pipe, one in the coupling, one in the 90, all need to be glued together and it needs to be spun into position. So you need to be quick, but they shouldn't be too bad because there will be play with the pipe coming up out of the concrete slab. So here's a fitting, I guess, to straighten out the overflow piping in the back. You can see that it's not straight, it's not square. I've never seen this before, but I managed to notice this before I made a mistake. So I think the idea here is to recorrect the angle between the overflow and the drain. So here I'm gluing in this adapter or whatever you want to call it. So I'm just going to glue it in and then level it from left to right, front to back. So to glue in the offset for the waste and overflow, the vertical piece that I've already glued into the bottom 45, it can really be at almost any height. I would say roughly split the difference between the two. But to make this work, because there is no play, both 45s need to be glued in together at the same time. In my opinion, this is going to be the most technical part of the piping here, because you have to glue in two fittings at the same time and smit it all together. Okay, so I'm going to pop the drain and then we're going to test this. So this is the cover. Now, I've already blasted this with water. That's why you see it standing here. So slide this down into place. Now I'm going to pop the drain and then we're going to check for leaks. Okay, look at the silicone, the glue joints, and everything else. If you don't see any puddles of water at the bottom, you're for the most likely good. And then everything here, check thoroughly all the way around to make sure everything is good to go. But guys, I say do about a quarter of the tub and then pop it. You want a nice solid test to make sure that everything is good to go. But everything here looks fine. So what we'll do now is go over this job. Alright guys, so that concludes this job. So on this job, I didn't run into any problems. The two things to keep in mind for a tub, in my opinion, always put concrete underneath it. That's going to help reinforce the tub long term. And then when you screw the tub in, aside the fact that it needs to be level all the way around, make sure that you go tight to the diverter side, the valve side, the side with the drain. The reason is, if you go the opposite way, then you're going to have to change the depth for the diverter by furring out the wall. I've had to do this in the past after doing thousands of these things, but as a general rule of thumb, you're going to always go tight to the diverter side. The time on the job. The time was about 4 hours. I didn't run into any problems. This was, for me, relatively straightforward. I'm going to say for a job like this, usually about 4 to 5 hours is what you're going to be looking at. The cost of this job. The cost was about $800. So the tub is, of course, the most expensive part, and then the waste and overflow, and then concrete glue and the other things will be the minor parts. Now when it comes to tubs, you can get tubs that are thousands of dollars. You can get combos, you can get all sorts of different styles. This one, in my opinion, is on the lower end for an acrylic tub anyway. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. I hope something here is going to help you on your project when you need to go ahead and do that. Guys, so next time, please hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next project.